The cream-colored envelope sat on my desk like a ticking bomb, its gold-embossed lettering catching the morning light. Another baby shower invitation. This time, it was from my cousin, Sophie. I traced my finger over the carefully written words. Join us in celebrating the miracle we've been waiting for. My name is Mia, and I'm the one who made that miracle possible, though no one knows it. Just then, my best friend Lily poked her head into my office, coffee mug in hand. You look like you're holding a court summons, she said, raising an eyebrow. Worse, I replied, tossing the invitation onto my desk. It's from my perfect cousin, you know, the one who's finally pregnant after years of trying. The golden child. Lily perched on the edge of my desk, her expression sympathetic. What's the passive-aggressive message this time? I picked up the invitation again and read aloud. Because family is everything, and some of us understand that more than others. I could almost hear her signing it, Love, the daughter who actually fulfilled Mom's dreams. That was rich, considering who had been paying for her fertility treatments all along. Lily scoffed, and just then my phone buzzed. It was my mom calling. I showed the screen to Lily, who made a face. Speaking of family, I said, answering the call and putting it on speaker. Hi, Mom. Yes, I got Lana's invitation this morning. You're coming, right? You can't miss this. Your cousin needs all her family there, my mom said, her voice taking on that familiar, disappointed tone. Please wear something appropriate, not those dark business suits you always wear. I have a closet full of perfectly nice dresses, Mom, I replied, trying to keep my tone light. Well, make sure it's something cheerful. Oh, and bring a proper gift, not like that business book you gave her for wedding. Lily rolled her eyes dramatically, making me stifle a laugh. That book was a bestseller, Mom, and Sophie's an accountant. A baby shower is different, Mia. It's about family, about the next generation, something you might want to think about. By the way, you're not getting any younger. There it was, the familiar punch to the gut. Mom, I have a meeting. We'll talk later, I said, hanging up before she could respond, dropping my head into my hands. You know, Lily said, you could just tell them about the money, about everything, watch their perfect little world implode. I looked up at her. And then what? Be the bitter career woman who only helped out of spite? Or be the bitter career woman who helps in secret while they treat me like crap? A knock at my door interrupted us. Jackson from marketing stood there, holding a stack of reports. Bedtime? He asked, noting my expression. Perfect timing, I said, grateful for the distraction. Come in. Jackson stepped into my office, his brow furrowed. You look like you have that "my family is driving me insane" look. I sighed, leaning back in my chair. You have no idea. My cousin Sophie is having a baby shower, and I'm expected to be there, all smiles and cheer. He placed the reports on my desk. Isn't that the same dinner where she announced her pregnancy? I nodded, remembering that night vividly. Sophie had stood up, tears in her eyes, thanking God and their anonymous donor for making their dreams come true. My mom had cried, hugging her while I sat there, knowing it was my bonus check that had paid for that last round of IVF. She's having a baby shower, I explained. Another opportunity to remind everyone how fulfilled her life is, while subtly highlighting how empty mine is. Jackson raised an eyebrow. Nothing subtle about it. I picked up the invitation again, feeling the weight of it in my hands. Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Sophie. Hope you can make it to the shower. Serena's helping me plan it. We're going all out, you know. Real family stuff. Might give you some perspective on what really matters in life. I showed the text to Lily and Jackson. That's it, Lily declared. I'm officially team tell them everything. It would certainly make for an interesting baby shower. Jackson mused. I stared at the invitation, at Sophie's perfect handwriting and carefully chosen words. 5 years of anonymous deposits into their fertility fund. 5 years of watching her cry about failed attempts, while Mom consoled her and reminded everyone how I'd chosen career over family. 5 years of being the secret fairy godmother, while being treated like Cinderella. Maybe, I said slowly, It's time for a different kind of baby shower gift. Lily's eyes lit up. Now that sounds like a story I want to hear. I pulled open my desk drawer, where I kept all the receipts from the fertility clinic. Let's just say I'm done being the family ghost. Jackson chuckled. This should be interesting. I smiled, feeling something shift inside me. Oh, it will be very interesting indeed. Later that day, as I sat in the corner booth of our usual lunch spot with Lily, I could hardly contain my excitement. You did what? Lily nearly spat out her coffee. How much money are we talking about? I pulled out my phone and showed her the banking app. Her eyes widened at the transaction history. Holy Mia, that's a down payment on a house? Tell me about it. I stirred my untouched salad, recalling their first attempt right after Sophie's husband lost his job. Sophie was devastated, thinking they'd have to give up on the treatments. So you just secretly funded their entire fertility journey through an anonymous donor program at the clinic? Lily asked, incredulous. I set up monthly transfers, I shrugged. Seemed like the right thing to do at the time. While they treated you like garbage? Lily shook her head. I remember last Christmas when Sophie made that comment about how some people are just meant to be ants because they're not mother material. The memory stung. Yeah, that was right after their third failed attempt, the one I doubled my contribution for. And now she's pregnant, and you're still their secret benefactor. Lily leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. How does that make you feel? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. It was a text from Mom. Sophie's having cravings. Coming over for family dinner tonight. She wants to discuss shower details. Saved by the bell? Lily raised an eyebrow. More like condemned by it. I typed a quick yes and put my phone away, bracing myself for another dinner filled with questions about when I was going to settle down and the ever-looming biological clock. The day of the baby shower arrived, and I stood in front of the venue, a high-end restaurant's private garden, clutching my carefully wrapped package. The weather was picture perfect, but my stomach was in knots. As I walked in, I was greeted by the sight of colorful decorations and the sound of laughter. I spotted Sophie, resplendent in a flowing pink dress, her hand resting on her barely visible bump. You came early, she exclaimed, waddling over to me. Wouldn't miss it, I said, handing her my gift. Where should I put this? Oh, on the gift table. We're opening presents right after the speeches, she said, lowering her voice. Mom said you were upset about not being involved in the planning, but you understand, right? These things require a certain maternal instinct. I forced a smile, feeling the tension rise. Of course, Sophie, you've done an amazing job. The garden filled quickly with guests. Familiar faces from Sophie's wedding, all cooing over her bump and sharing their own motherhood stories. I stayed near the back, watching, holding my breath. Just then, Jackson appeared with a mocktail. Thought you could use this, he said, handing it to me. Thanks, my hero, I replied, taking a sip. As the guests settled down, Serena, Sophie's friend who was helping with the planning, clinked her glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could all take your seats, we're about to begin our program. I found my assigned seat in the front row, right next to Mom. Perfect. First, Serena announced that her mother would like to say a few words. Mom stood, already teary-eyed. When Sophie told us she was finally pregnant, it was the happiest day of my life. Finally, a grandchild to spoil. I felt several eyes on me, including Lily's, who squeezed my shoulder from behind. And now, Serena continued, Sophie would like to share something special. Sophie stood, one hand on her bump. This journey hasn't been easy. For years we tried and failed, but thanks to a mysterious angel, our anonymous donor, our dreams came true. I only wish I knew who to thank. Careful what you wish for, Lily muttered behind me. And now, Serena announced, before we open gifts, we have a surprise video presentation. The lights dimmed and a projection appeared on the garden wall. I recognized the fertility clinic's logo. What's this? Sophie whispered to her husband Mohammed. The video began playing a montage of Sophie's journey, from early doctor visits to failed attempts, finally culminating in that positive test. But interwoven were bank statements and deposit receipts, all with my name carefully highlighted. The garden grew silent. "I don't understand," Mom said, squinting at the screen, but Sophie had gone pale, her eyes locked onto mine. "No," she whispered. "It can't be." Serena stepped forward. "For 5 years, someone has been quietly funding these treatments. Someone who never asked for recognition or gratitude. Someone who listened to endless criticism about her life choices while secretly helping make your dreams come true." "Adeline," Mom's voice cracked. "You're the donor." I stood slowly, my heart pounding. "Surprise. But why didn't you tell us?" Sophie's voice trembled. "Would it have changed anything?" I asked. "Would you have stopped calling me selfish? Stopped suggesting I was less of a woman because I chose a different path?" "I never..." Sophie started. "Last Christmas, you said some people are just meant to be aunts because they are not mother material. That was right after I doubled my contribution for your 3rd attempt." The garden erupted in whispers. Mohammed looked stunned. "All this time while we struggled to make ends meet?" "I helped," I finished. "Anonymously, because that's what family does, right, Sophie? Or does it only count when it fits your narrative?" Mom stood up. "Adeline, this is hardly the time or place." "Actually," Serena interrupted, "this is exactly the time and place. Because this shower isn't just celebrating a baby, it's celebrating family. All family, including the aunt who made it possible." Sophie sank into her chair, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," I replied, picking up my purse. "Just remember this moment the next time you want to judge someone's worth by their maternal status." As I walked away, I felt lighter than I had in years. I was heading to celebrate with my real family, the ones who supported me without conditions. Avery and Jackson fell into step beside me as I walked out, leaving behind a garden full of shocked faces and one very important lesson about judgment and gratitude. I made it halfway to the parking lot before Sophie's voice rang out behind me. "Adeline, wait!" Jackson touched my arm. "Want us to run interference?" "No," I said, turning around. "Let her finish this." Sophie waddled toward me, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. Mohammed and Mom hurried after her, with Serena hanging back by the garden entrance. "You can't just drop a bomb like that and leave." Sophie's voice cracked. "Why not? You've been dropping bombs on me for years." "That's different, is it?" I stepped closer. "Every family dinner, every holiday, every social media post about how fulfilled you are compared to your poor, career-obsessed cousin. I never meant..." "Yes, you did," I said, my voice steady now. "You meant every word. And you know what's funny? While you were positioning yourself as the perfect daughter, the one who understood family values, I was quietly helping you become a mother." Mom stepped forward. "Adeline, surely we can discuss this privately." "No, Mom. No more hiding things to keep the peace. No more pretending Sophie's behavior is okay because she's your precious miracle maker." Several shower guests had drifted out to watch the scene, and I heard whispers and saw phones recording. "Do you know what it's like?" I continued, facing Sophie. "To sit there month after month watching you cry about failed treatments that I paid for, while you simultaneously mocked my life choices?" Mohammed spoke up. "I had no idea about all those anonymous deposits." "Of course you didn't," I turned to him. "Because Sophie needed to be the hero of her own story, the struggling would-be mother persevering against all odds. Meanwhile, the real support came from the person she constantly belittled." "That's not fair," Sophie protested. "I was going through something terrible. And I was going through it with you. Every negative test, every setback, I felt them too. But I couldn't show it because I was just the cold, career-focused cousin who wouldn't understand." Avery stepped forward. "I've watched this for years. Do you know how many times Adeline cried in my office after your family values lectures?" Stay out of this, Mom snapped. This is family business. No, I said firmly. These people are my family. They're the ones who supported me, who didn't make me feel less than for my choices. Serena joined us, her clipboard forgotten. Lana, remember last month when you said Adeline would never understand the sacrifice of motherhood? That was right after she liquidated her vacation fund for your final treatment. Sophie's hand flew to her mouth. The Bali trip you'd been planning? Yep, but hey, you needed it more than I needed a vacation, right? Well, Sophie whispered, why help me if you resented me so much? Because, contrary to what you all think, I do understand family. I understand sacrifice. I just express it differently than your narrow definition allows. Mohammed stepped away from Sophie, running his hands through his hair. All this time we should have known the timing of the deposits, always when we needed them most. I didn't want recognition, I said. I just wanted respect, basic human respect from my own family. But you got neither. Jackson added quietly, Sweetheart, if we'd known. That's the point, Mom. You shouldn't have needed to know I was financially supporting Sophie to treat me with dignity. My worth as a person, as your daughter, shouldn't depend on my maternal status or my bank account. The garden had gone completely silent. Even the birds seemed to be holding their breath. The shower gifts, Sophie suddenly said. Your package contains every receipt, every thank you note from the clinic, every email confirmation of deposits. I finished. Consider it your baby's origin story. Sophie stepped forward, reaching for me. I'm so sorry. I stepped back. I know you are right now, but will you be sorry tomorrow? Next week when the baby comes and you're back to being Mom's perfect daughter? What do you want from me? She whispered. Any more? I turned to leave, then paused. Actually, one thing. Next time you want to judge someone's life choices, remember who helped you achieve yours. As I walked away, Avery and Jackson flanking me, I heard the murmur of shocked conversations behind me, Mom calling my name, Sophie's sobs. 3 days after the shower, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with texts, calls, and voicemails from family members and shower guests. I ignored them all. Your story's gone viral, Jackson announced, walking into my office with his tablet. Someone posted the video on social media. You're trending. Wonderful, I muttered. Just what I needed. My office phone lit up. Miss Erickson, your sister's here, the receptionist said. I looked at Jackson, who raised his eyebrows. Want me to stay? No, I need to handle this. I pressed the intercom. Send her in. Sophie appeared in my doorway, looking smaller somehow, less polished than usual. She carried a large gift bag. Can we talk? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Jackson squeezed my shoulder as he left, closing the door behind him. Nice office, Sophie said, looking around. I've never actually been here before because work has been, you. She flinched. I deserve that. What do you want, Sophie? She pulled out a familiar-looking envelope from the gift bag. My shower gift. I opened this properly, read everything. I took the envelope and opened it. Congratulations. You now know where your miracle came from. Sophie wiped her eyes. I found the letter you wrote, the one explaining why you helped us. Why didn't you ever tell me you'd been pregnant? The question hung in the air like smoke. I hadn't expected her to bring that up first. Because you were too busy telling me I'd never understand motherhood to ask about my life, I said. The miscarriage was 3 years ago, right before your second round of treatments. I kept my voice steady. I had just found out I was pregnant, unplanned, unexpected, and lost it at 8 weeks, the same week you announced you were starting IVF. And you still helped us after losing your own, Sophie asked, her voice trembling. Because I knew how much it hurt to want something that badly. I leaned back in my chair, feeling the weight of the moment. The difference is I dealt with my loss alone while funding your dreams. Sophie started crying in earnest now. Muhammad's furious, not about the money, but about how we treated you. He says he can't look at me the same way. That sounds like a you problem, I said, feeling a mix of sympathy and frustration. Mom is a mess too. She keeps watching that video from the shower, crying about what a terrible mother she's been. Again, not my problem. But it is, Sophie said, standing up. You're my sister. We used to be close, remember? Before all this baby stuff? Before I got so obsessed with proving my worth through motherhood? She collapsed back into the chair, her shoulders shaking. I got so caught up in it that I turned into someone I don't even recognize. Someone who could hurt her own sister while taking her money. My office phone buzzed again. Everything okay in there? Avery's voice came through. We're fine, I called back. Sophie pulled something else from her bag. An ultrasound photo. This is your niece. The doctors confirmed it yesterday. A girl. I stared at the image, feeling that familiar mix of love and pain. I want her to know her aunt, Sophie continued. The real story of how she came to be, not some sanitized version where Mommy and Daddy did it all alone. And how do you plan to explain that to her? I asked. By telling the truth. That her Aunt Mia loved her before anyone even knew she existed. That she sacrificed her own dreams to help create her. Pretty words, I said, but words are easy. Then let me prove it with actions, Sophie said, pulling out her phone and opening social media. What are you doing? Setting the record straight. She turned the screen toward me. A public post to everyone who's seen the viral video from my baby shower. You've only seen part of the story. The full truth is that while I was busy judging my sister's life choices, she was secretly helping make my dreams come true. She did this while dealing with her own loss, her own pain. Pain I was too self-absorbed to see. I don't deserve her forgiveness, but I'm hoping to earn it, starting with the truth. My daughter exists because of her aunt's generosity and love. Her finger hovered over the post button. May I? I nodded, speechless. After posting, she stood up. I know this doesn't fix everything, but I'm hoping it's a start. A start toward what? I asked. Toward being the sister you deserve? The mother my daughter deserves. She headed for the door, then turned back. I named her Mia Hope. That's okay, right? As the door closed behind her, I heard Avery's voice. Everything okay? I looked at the ultrasound photo still in my hand. Ask me tomorrow. The next evening, as I pulled up to my mother's house, I felt a mix of anxiety and hope. The smell of Mom's signature lasagna wafted through the air, and I could hear laughter coming from the kitchen. Lana and Mohammed sat at the kitchen table while Mom fussed with place settings. Atelaine! Mom rushed over but stopped short of hugging me. You came. You said we needed to talk. I set my purse down. So let's talk. First, Mohammed stood up. I want to say something. He pulled out an envelope. This is a check for everything you've given us, plus interest. No? I pushed it back. That money was a gift for her. I nodded at Sophie's bump. Then let us do something else. He insisted name you as godmother, set up a trust in your name. I don't want anything, I sat down at the table, except maybe some honesty. Mom brought over the lasagna, her hands shaking slightly. I've been doing a lot of thinking about how I raised you girls, about the pressure I put on you both. Sophie started to speak, but Mom interrupted. No, let me finish. She sat down heavily. I was so focused on grandchildren, on what I thought a woman's life should be, that I missed what was right in front of me. Two amazing daughters living their lives differently, but both so capable of love and sacrifice. Pass the garlic bread, I said, not trusting my voice for more. The thing is, Sophie spoke up, we can't undo what we did, how we treated you, but maybe we can do better going forward. I asked. By pretending none of it happened? No, Mohammed said, by acknowledging it, by acknowledging your loss. I froze, bread halfway to my plate. I found your journal, Mom whispered after the shower, the one where you wrote about the baby you lost. Well, didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Because you were too busy planning Sophie's first IVF celebration? The silence that followed was deafening. I'd like to put a photo of you on the nursery wall, Sophie said suddenly, next to the ultrasound pictures, so she knows from day one who helped bring her into this world. And I'd like to hear about your life, Mom added. Really hear about it. Your work, your dreams, everything I should have asked about years ago. I looked at their faces. Mom's hopeful, Sophie's tearful, Mohammed's respectful. I'm not promising anything, but maybe we can try. That's all we're asking, Mohammed said. Sophie pushed a small box across the table. We got you something. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with 2 birthstones. One for little Mia, Sophie explained, and one for the baby you lost, so they're both remembered. I touched the stones gently, feeling something shift inside me. I have conditions, I said finally. They all sat up straighter. No more comments about my life choices, no more pressure about marriage or babies, and if little Mia ever feels pressured about her life path, I get to be her safe space. Deal? They said in unison. And Mom, I added, next time you want to brag about your daughters, remember you have 2 of them, both worthy of pride. Mom reached for my hand. This time, I let her take it. I already called Aunt Susan to correct some things I've said, she admitted, and Cousin Rachel and the Bridge Club. Despite myself, I laughed. The whole phone tree? Well, she smiled tentatively. They should know the truth about both my daughters. As we ate, the conversation flowed easier than it had in years. Not perfect, not completely healed, but different. My phone buzzed. Avery checking in. I typed quickly, I'm okay having dinner with my family. Your whole family? She replied. I looked around the table at Mom's serving seconds, at Mohammed's protective hand on Sophie's bump, at the necklace box near my plate. Yes, I wrote back, my whole complicated, messy, trying to do better family. They want us to rescue you. I watched Sophie laugh at something Mohammed said, saw Mom beaming at both her daughters, equally for the first time in forever. No, I replied. I think I'm right where I need to be.